All right, so let's continue on. If you think about what a square root means, like for instance, if we had a while ago we had the problem, something that said just general, the square root of 100. What that means is, what do I have to square to get 100? And then we could figure out, well, that means that would have to be a 10 in there. So the square root of 100 would have to equal 10. Okay, if we use that same exact idea, if what number would we have to square to get a negative 4? Is there any number that you can square and ever get a negative 4? There's not. Because no matter what the sign of the number, if you square it, you multiply it to itself, then you're multiplying two numbers of the same sign. So that answer will always be positive. This will never ever happen. Now, when we're doing square roots, you basically have three different possibilities of what your answer type can be. You can either have rational roots, irrational roots, or roots that are not real numbers. So let's review back what a rational means, a rational number means. Rational is, if you'll remember, anything that can be written as a fraction. My pen was messing up there. So for instance, if we had the square root of 4, well, the square root of 4 would be 2. That is a rational number because it can be written as a fraction. So therefore, the square root of 4 is a rational root, a rational square root. Now, an irrational number, if you'll remember, an irrational number is the opposite of a rational number. So this is things that cannot be written as a fraction. As a fraction. Now, don't forget this includes non-terminating and non-repeating decimals. So an example of an irrational number would be something like the square root of 55. This is not a perfect square. So our only choices here would be to plug in the square root of 55 into a calculator and get a decimal approximation. So this is not, it's not able to be written as a fraction, so it's not rational, it's irrational. And then finally, our last type is not a real number, and this is what we just talked about with that negative 4. It's something that's not rational and it's not irrational. This would be something like the square root of negative 4. This is not possible because there is nothing that we can square in the real number system and get a negative 4. So anything, basically, what you can think about is when you're taking the square root of a negative number, that is not a real number.